Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. It is July 19th, 2023. If you're watching this video, most Wednesdays, I know this summer's been a little bit off, but most Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, I am right here answering your core cutting related questions, diving into the biggest stories of core cutting of the past day or so and more. Big thanks to everybody who understood that I missed last week. Really sorry. We had some family scheduling there that got in the way, but a lot's happened today. So let's kind of quickly run down some big stories of the past week, and then we can talk about everything happening in the world of core cutting right now. As soon as there we go, jump out of that. But Spectrum is raising the price of cable TV, internet, and phone service. You could be spending a lot more if you're a Spectrum internet customer, TV customer, and phone customer, including the broadband or broadcast television connection surcharge fee, whatever you want to call it, is going up. A lot of price hikes over at Spectrum happening. We always hear about cord cutting going up. Cable TV goes up pretty much every year. Netflix has announced their quarterly earnings, and they also quietly eliminated the cheapest ad-free plan. The $9.99 ad-free plan that offered 720p streaming is gone. Now you're going to have to get the $15.49 plan or the $19.99 plan if you want ad-free streaming with Netflix. Walmart is offering full refunds to customers who signed up for Walmart Plus through their kiosks, but didn't understand that they were signed up to it. If you did not activate your Walmart Plus membership and you paid for it through the kiosk, you can get a full refund with that. Now, we all thought Netflix was crazy when they announced their password sharing crackdown, but Netflix actually added almost 6 million new subscribers during the second quarter of 2023 as they launched their password sharing crackdown in the United States. Maybe they're a little smarter than we give them credit to be on that. The creator of Babylon 5 has said a single Warner Brothers executive successfully blocked anything Babylon 5 for 20 years. For 20 years, they kept trying to bring back Babylon 5, and a single executive who did not like the show blocked it. Now he says that executive has retired, and Babylon 5 is once again able to come back. They got an animated special next month. There's a reboot still in the works and more. Hulu is adding 4 new channels, but not until January 2024. They've struck a deal with Sinclair to add Tennis Channel, T2, Charge, and Comet. They also have a deal with Nexstar to add more locals later this month. And DirecTV says Nexstar is preventing them from streaming CW programming because they're in an argument. They've gone, Nexstar's reportedly told Sinclair, who does have a deal to carry CW affiliates on DirecTV and DirecTV Stream, to not allow their content, at least the primetime content, to be aired on DirecTV-owned properties, according to a letter DirecTV sent to the FCC to complain about it. If you want to check out any of these and a whole lot more, go over to corecuttersnews.com. All these stories are there. They'll also be in the newsletter that goes out tomorrow morning. So with that said, it's good to see everybody here. Alvin, I hope I said that right. Happy birthday. Joining the Big 4-0 Club. It's a fun place to be. A lot of questions have come in. A lot of people here. Let's kind of dive into some of the older questions, and then I'll take a look at it. Will Comcast ever give up NBC Universal? No. NBC Universal is clearly the future of Comcast, as they're facing stiff competition for TV, and now they're facing stiff competition for home internet. I do firmly believe that we are seeing a time where Comcast is not only facing cord cutting on TV, but they're facing cord cutting on internet with wireless providers like T-Mobile, Verizon, and now even AT&T, Amazon coming, SpaceX, and more. Comcast sees NBC Universal as their future. We'll see how it all works out. Writing and actor strike will definitely affect streaming. Yeah, it's going to affect everything. We're seeing NBC, CBS, and more all rejiggering their schedules to do classic reruns, bring originals in case of CBS. Paramount originals are going to be aired on CBS, including Yellowstone's going to air there, reruns, more reality shows. Huge impact here with all this happening. How am I doing today? It is a good day. It's been a long day, a lot happening. Had to go visit the Secretary of State to get a car titled. Always fun to have to do that. But it's been a good day. I hope everybody here has had a great day. All right. John says, have you ever used a HD Home Run device? Is it any good? Yes, I have. I have used an HD Home Run device. I'm very happy with them. Now, they are a little bit more less plug and play. Now, the one big selling point of Tableau is they're plug and play, plug them in, the work. HD Home Run has a lot more cool features, a lot more things to play around with it. Now, one thing, be sure you understand which model you have. The model I bought didn't actually have Wi-Fi built into it. It had to use Ethernet on it. So make sure you read the description of the models you're buying with it if being able to connect it directly to Wi-Fi is important to you, for example, with that. But overall, HD Home Run, excellent product. Would recommend it. Just do your research. Make sure you understand which model you're buying and how you're going to use it. What are you going to run it through? Plex, for example, and more. All right, let's dive. I had this question I couldn't see in the list from earlier last. Is Bob Iger going to sell Disney? I don't believe Disney is for sale as a whole. Will Bob Iger be willing to sell parts of Disney? Yeah, he already made that clear that not all the cable networks, for example, are he called core to Disney's business, that he may be very willing to sell off Freeform or and more. A lot of people talked a lot about ABC with that. I don't believe he's willing to sell ABC. I think that's one he would like to maintain. ESPN, while he might not be willing to sell the whole thing, he has made it clear that he's open to selling part of ESPN to bring in a strategic partner. We'll see how that all plays out with it. But he's definitely opening up the doors and what he wants to do there. And right now, everything's on the table. Here's a question I got. When will CW Plus come to YouTube TV? So CW Plus is a national feed, basically, of the CW feed that's meant for smaller TV markets with 200,000 or fewer stations. It's already live in some markets on YouTube TV. Again, it's not a separate channel from the CW, but what it is, it allows smaller TV markets to get a national package of content to be broadcast there. And that is what started to show up on the CW or on YouTube TV. Now, in bigger markets, you may notice that some of the programming on the CW network is local and some of it's national. In small markets, they offer a package called CW Plus, which is 100% national prepackaged stuff from the CW, which is now owned by Nexstar. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But I don't know if it's in all markets. I do know it's in some markets now. Freeform, you are correct, was once the family channel. I don't know about CNBC, but it used to be called the Fox family channel originally when Fox owned it. So funny story, long before 21st Century Fox was bought by Disney, Fox had a family channel, Fox Family, which was sold to Disney and rebranded ABC Family. And they grew it, changed it, did some different stuff to it, and eventually became Freeform. I would honestly not be surprised to see if Freeform is one of the channels that's most likely to be sold. We'll see what happens there. All right, if you asked a question and I didn't answer it, feel free to re-ask it. A lot of people have been asking questions, and I haven't been able to get to all of them. Do I think Disney would be sold to Apple? Maybe. I honestly don't really see. I don't think that would be a smart move on Apple's part. People are like, Apple's got money, they can do it. Well, a lot of Apple's money is tied up internationally. To bring it back to the United States, to buy Disney, they would have to get that taxed, and that would be quite significant. That's why Apple leaves a lot of their money internationally. Two, Disney is such a huge beast of a company, we'll call it, that honestly, I think Apple quite wouldn't know how to wrap their arms around it. And honestly, it may be in one of those situations where Disney more wraps its arms around Apple than Apple wraps its arms around Disney. I actually think people who are Apple fans are pushing for this don't really understand what will happen here. For example, a lot of people don't remember this, that AOL bought Time Warner. Then Time Warner spun off AOL as a junk company, and basically AOL fell apart during that. So with that, it is interesting to remember that it's very possible that Disney could do the same thing to Apple. Apple could buy Disney. Disney's such a bigger thing to run that will pull all the leadership's attention. Apple as a company with hardware iPhone services will suffer from that, is one of the things I would definitely warn you about. I am honestly not sure about those channels. I would tell you to be very careful about that. When it comes, for one, what channels are those? I'm not sure off the top of my head. Which provider are you asking about? I would contact whoever provider and ask them to do that. Hello, everybody. So many people here. It's great to see everybody here. NYC, I do agree with you. I do feel like Freeform is kind of not really serving the purpose it was originally created for, because the audience has changed. The audience isn't watching TV that they were aiming for with all that. When will PBS come to Hulu? By the end of this year, they say it will start coming out to different markets. For that particular streaming service, I didn't mean to click on it to remove that comment. I don't know much about it. If it sounds too good to be, finish the statement. IN Plus is on many different streaming services, Bill. Do I think Spectrum will get back into day caps? Well, they actually tried a few years ago and then withdrew the proposal. I don't know if the market has changed so dramatically with the introduction of T-Mobile home internet, Verizon, AT&T, SpaceX, Amazon coming, and more, that maybe Spectrum saying this may be a bad time to do that. We'll see. David said Disney wants to sell ABC. Who's going to buy ABC? Well, grain of salt. Bob Iger did not say Disney wants to sell ABC. He said some of the cable networks, some of the networks they own, may not be core to Disney's business. Some networks ran with the idea that that must mean ABC. I think it's more likely that Freeform, even National Geographic's channel, and more, maybe more willing to be split off there with that than ABC. ABC is probably one of the few that Disney wants to keep because it's got sports, it's local, it's much more profitable than a lot of the smaller cable networks they own. All right. What are your thoughts on the Diamondbacks leaving Bally Sports? Well, I'm kind of surprised more Major League Baseball teams did not leave Bally Sports in this cycle. Now, it does look like that Major League Baseball is going to try to outbid Bally Sports to produce a growing amount of Major League Baseball content on their own rather than having Bally Sports do it. But I'm kind of actually surprised how much content Bally Sports kept and was willing to pay for. Diamondback Padres was basically decided to be not profitable enough for them to pay and continue. I would not be surprised if more NBA teams and MLB and NHL teams between now and this time next year leave Bally Sports. Yep, so there's a lot of push out there against the rollout of DRM. I think the rollout of DRM, let's just remove if it's a good idea or not. I think the rollout of DRM on over-the-air television was a poorly thought-out, executed plan for this one reason. If they had waited until the devices on the market supported the DRM, because they keep talking about how these devices will get updated to this DRM and allow you to do it, I don't think a lot of people would have cared. But the problem is people went and bought very expensive early adopter boxes. And then they put DRM that doesn't work with those expensive early adopter boxes. And they act kind of surprised when people are very upset about it. I really do think that they would be smarter to have waited one more year to start rolling that DRM out. Now, we can argue about if DRM is good or bad on that. Let's just talk about how poorly managed that rollout was. Is 50 internet down enough for 4K video? Yes, most 4K video, they say between 15 and 20 down per stream. So in theory, you can easily do 2 4K streams with that, plus surf the web, check all your Facebook posts and more with that. So definitely a good option. Do I think antenna signals will ever get boosted? Well, there's a lot of talk about different ways that are looking at making that ATSC 3.0 reportedly will be slightly better. But unfortunately, if you're in a bad spot, if you have a mountain between you and the transmitting towers, then you're going to be out of luck there. You know, when I cut the cord, I lived in an area where locals were not an option. It really does suck, but it is what it is. What is DRM? Digital rights management. It's basically encrypting channels, preventing anybody from being able to copy it and turn it into their own personal DVR thing with there. All right. A lot of people remember Iger for making poorly timed comment on the strike. But what I remember the most was when he said that linear isn't very profitable nowadays. What are your thoughts on that? No, he's very much right. Bob Iger basically in the interview recently said, traditional cable television model is not profitable. Its future is not good. He goes, I knew it before I left. It's much more clear now than ever before. And he's right. I do believe in the future, sports will be through services like Peacock and more. On demand is just what people want. People want on demand. Outside of sports and live events, which you can stream, no problem. People don't want to watch, emergency or whatever show that they're putting out there. They want to be able to watch it on demand. They don't care to say 8 p.m. is when Star Trek is on. They're just saying Star Trek is going to be on when I go into Paramount Plus and hit play. So I think he's right. And I think Bob Iger is actually very visionary. Let's not forget, Disney was one of the first to jump on the cord-cutting bandwagon and brought their channels to Sling TV when Sling TV did not have a lot of partners. And ESPN launched on it, and it kind of changed the world with that. Now, Disney's preparing to launch a standalone ESPN service. Mark my words, Disney is not dumb. Bob Iger is not dumb. He's being very forward-thinking. You may not like what's happening, but Bob Iger is saying, hey, the future of TV is changing. The future out there is streaming. We were got on the bandwagon with Sling and streaming services like YouTube TV. Now we're going to get in the bandwagon of direct-to-consumer. He said during the interview, he's more certain now than ever when that direct-to-consumer ESPN service will launch, but he didn't say. Some people speculate 2025. Your guess is as good as mine. We're all guessing at this point. But don't underestimate Disney. I really do think people like to write him off as like he's an idiot. He's not. He's very smart. You may not like it, but he has a clear plan. It's going to be painful to get there. Will it work is the only question now. All right. Any news in Orville? Not yet. We'll keep an eye on it. What is Luna? Well, I'm assuming you're talking about Amazon's Luna service, which is a gaming service. You can buy a controller, connect it to your Fire tablet, to your Fire TV, and more, and play video games. We'll see what happens with that. It's a very nice one. We have a review here on this YouTube channel. If you type in Luna into the search box on our YouTube page. I remember the talks about FX wanting WWE programming. Could you see them making Raw SmackDown a linear streaming package which airs on FX and Disney Plus? I could definitely see WWE, if they're Disney trying to bid for it, to move it from Peacock to ESPN Plus. Seems like a great fit for ESPN Plus. Could definitely see them putting it on FX, on linear television. I don't think linear television is going to be going away anytime soon, even though I do think its days are numbered. But it would not surprise me at all for Disney to make a big push. Like I've said in the story today, sports is one of the few things people want to watch live, and which makes it very profitable for advertisers. So a lot of advertisers are spending big money, or a lot of TV partners are spending big money trying to get their hands on more content out there with that. So wouldn't be surprised to see more and more sporting events out there becoming massive bidding wars for it. With the exception of the Pac-12 network, which is really struggling to strike a deal. I think theirs is a little bit more complicated. They want premium dollars, even though the quality of their product is diminishing by having fewer teams. Although there are reports that Amazon and Apple TV Plus are in the bidding for it. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's keep going. Are VPNs worth it for your personal security? Never use public Wi-Fi without a VPN. Just don't do it. Especially don't check your bank account information on public Wi-Fi. Do I think people will give up television as streaming services price and keep it rising? I think that there are a lot of streaming services that just won't make it. A lot of streaming services out there are still not profitable. Let me make this very clear. There are still a lot of streaming services that are not profitable, including Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, I think even Peacock. But do I think that people are just going to wholesale leave streaming services? No. What I think is going to happen is fewer people are going to be paying for streaming services. We're already seeing one of the fastest growing part of cord cutting right now is free ad-supported streaming. Pluto TV, Tubi, the Roku channel, Crackle, Freevee, Redbox, etc. Not all those will make it, but they will continue to grow. They will continue to develop. They will continue to become a bigger part of it. We see traditionally 3 to 4 streaming services are what people pay for. During the pandemic, people were willing to pay for a little bit more. It got like 5 to 6. Now we're seeing that number come back down. Would not surprise me at all to see more services out there like there was one recent shutdown. I wouldn't be surprised to see that maybe even some big services in the next 4 to 5 years don't make it. That, wouldn't be surprised even one of the big cable networks, one of their streaming services won't make it. AMC Plus, A&E, whatever that one was. There are some big ones out there that are really struggling. It wouldn't surprise me if in 4 years they just license their content instead of having their own, license to Peacock, Paramount Plus, and more. So the question is, who makes it? Who doesn't? That's going to be a big question that I don't think we really understand now, because I think a lot's going to change between now and when investor money dries up. We'll keep a close eye on it. But I do firmly believe that a lot's going to be changing between now and then. All right. Speaking of sports, I do feel the artisans of Yes and SYN will face budget cuts. I agree. All artisans will be. In the aftermath of Bally Sports and AT&T Sportsnet closing, possibly they will eventually be subchannels OTA. I think it's more likely if they were smart. We always see this with the Yes Network partnering with like Amazon to put the content on Amazon than OTA. It would be interesting. The problem with OTA is they don't own OTA, right? So they would have to partner. From my knowledge, both those networks don't own their parent owners don't own a TV network to put it on a subchannel out there. It would probably be more interested in their future to put their content on Amazon. Yes, Network's already doing that for some games. Do they put more out there? We'll keep a close eye on it. If Amazon is kind of behind of other internets, if Amazon Wi-Fi is going to be better than... Okay, so Amazon is building their own home internet service. It's not necessarily Amazon Wi-Fi. I'm assuming it's what you're talking about, their home internet service. Probably we're looking at 2025. Hard to answer your question because we just don't know enough about it. We'll have to keep a close eye on it. They say it will be a good, affordable service, especially for people in rural America. We'll keep a very close eye on this and see what happens. Robert, you are right. We're already seeing some streaming services combined of people who own them. We're seeing content be brought into other ones like Showtime and Paramount Plus merging. Would not surprise me if some of the smaller services out there keep combining down and down. I think the big telling point here is when we see something like the AMC Plus service. I don't know how long that one's going to make it. That one's kind of on the bubble for me a little bit. They, unless they get a real big hit, if they have another Walking Dead, Breaking Bad type hit, then maybe they're able to use that to push their service forward. But it won't surprise me at all. Someday a service like that says, hey, we're going to shut down. We're going to migrate our content to Paramount Plus or Peacock or Max. And everybody who subscribes to our service gets a year of Max at a discounted price or something. Would not strike me at all or surprise me at all if that do that. NYC says SNY is primarily owned by NBC. So there you go. There that one is. Amazon is owned by Sinclair. I wonder if Sinclair owns locals in that market. You could be right. So learn something new. It's hard to track who owns everything, every TV station. This is Ron. You are 100% right. Circle through different streaming services out there. Don't be afraid to get a service, binge watch it for a month, dump it, and get another one. All right. Is Fios TV from Verizon still a thing? If you currently have it, I believe some people still have it. They're not selling it to anybody new. They are now selling YouTube TV instead. It won't be surprised me if more and more cable TV companies continue to do that. I work from home. If our business is in a different state, do I have to get the highest internet out there? No, I always recommend get at least 100, 200, 300, somewhere in that range. If you ever find it's not fast enough, you can always upgrade. The problem is if you sign up for a gig, for example, and you decide you're overpaying, you're not using that, it's hard sometimes to get them to drop your price and give you a good deal on a price drop. Like I said, start low and move your way up with that. I honestly don't know the answer to that. Very sorry. I'm not sure about that. Why do local cost cable TV companies so much if they're free over there? Because they've slowly driven up the price of locals. Every time the contract renews, they want more money, more money, more money, more money. It started off at a very low price, and it just kept growing. So that's just why. And locals are some of the most watched channels on TV, so they want to be paid like it. But you are right, it is free. I have to tell you this, not enough people take advantage of the free over their television they can get with antenna. I do understand some people are unable to. Most Americans live in an area with it. Is Verizon Fios ever going to get 4K very soon? Well, they only sell YouTube TV now, and YouTube TV does offer 4K on select channels if you sign for the 4K add-on. If MGM Plus fails, I can see them the content moving to Prime Video. Yeah, so Amazon owns MGM now. It is kind of funny that MGM Plus is basically an extra cost on top of Amazon Prime. Wouldn't that surprise me if that fails, if they just roll it to Amazon Prime to push more Amazon Prime subscribers. Yeah, definitely a lot of shifting. I mean, Disney's even shut down the Disney Channel a good chunk of Europe, Australia, and other parts of the country. A lot happening. Hello, Don. Thanks for joining us. Everything is great. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Question, when do they come out with more next-gen devices? Well, one's supposed to come out this month. They announced another one by the end of the year. Slowly rolling out. We're having a bunch of TVs with them coming out later this year. We'll see how it all comes out. I've seen you ask this quite a few times. I don't know the question that I would contact and ask them that question. They say TikTok is killing TV shows and sports. I disagree with that, but people are getting used to short form, straight to the point videos. I would say how people are spending their time is changing. I even noticed myself watching a lot more YouTube on my television rather than going into Netflix, for example. It's the end of the day, flip on YouTube, watch a 20-minute video, call it a good day as I, surf the web in my chair or surf the web in bed, whatever it may be. I don't think that's necessarily a TikTok thing. I think it's more of a general YouTube and TikTok, and there's just more content creators. It used to be you had a very limited amount of new content. You had the big four, right? When I was a very young kid, we had no cable. We just had an antenna. We had 4 channels, basically. Now, even with my antenna, I get like 50 channels. You add in YouTube, you add in all this. There's just so much content out there. It's crazy. That content, that selection of content is really putting pressure on it. We'll see how it all comes together. But as I said, I wouldn't say TikTok is killing TV. It's not helping TV. We'll see how it all plays out. I think a lot of local streaming services will love that. Unfortunately, a lot of people want it. They want the locals. And the problem is locals are owned by like Paramount and Disney and NBC Universal, who says if you want our local or cable networks, you have to also include our locals. They don't allow you to separate them into different ones. That's a big problem here. Yeah, a lot of people absolutely love doing that. My daughter loves white noise, and when we travel and she has a little noise machine, we just put a YouTube video of white noise up on her phone and leave it in the room for her sleep when we travel. That is right. YouTube has legal, officially supported free movies on here. Check it out. Here's the great thing. I'm glad you like Paramount Plus or Showtime. That's the great thing about it. Everybody gets their own stuff, right? If you're an anime person, Crunchyroll is underrated. If you're not, you could care less about it. And that's the great thing about cord cutting is there's so many options out there that allow you to make a lot of content. All right. Hello, Brother John. Good to see you here. I think cable is coming to an end. I would agree. The days of cable TV is limited. And the days of the cable TV ecosystem of these channels like this, for the most part, is very limited. But I don't think they're going away anytime very soon. Most content has too much filler that's not needed. I think that's a good thing, a good point when it comes to especially cable networks. A lot of them have a ton of filler out there. Oh, sorry. I just had a poor family thing happen. My grandma fell, unfortunately. Looks like she'll be okay, but looks like she's at the hospital. Sorry. Speaking of anime, what are your thoughts on Hulu animation? I love the fact that Hulu's expanding that. I know they're advertising 20th animation, but their press release said anime will be under that block. Yeah, so Hulu actually has a lot of anime, a lot of Gundam anime, very good anime there. But yes, Hulu is definitely trying to cash in on their animated content, partially to push the fact that Futurama is coming back next month. I'm very excited, though, more excited that King of the Hill is coming back. I will be watching Futurama next week. I'm kind of excited. Anybody know how they're doing it? I'm assuming it's week to week. Anybody know if it's going to be a one big drop or it's a week to week? Leave me a comment. Let me know. YouTube had some issues during the NBA playoffs. Do you think that they will do hosting NFL the whole season? How do you think they'll do? I definitely think they're putting a lot of effort into building it. Could they struggle? Very much so. But I don't believe it's going to be a massive issue with it all. I think that they are going to do just fine. The one big thing to remember when it comes to football season is it's spread across games, where playoffs it was like one game at once. And hopefully by the time they get to the Super Bowl, they did fine with the Super Bowl this year. They'll have their servers continue to be built up. So, and be able to do more and more of it. All right, I'm going to do about 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to go figure out how my grandma's doing and get off here. So if I haven't answered your question, re-ask it. I'm going to do about 10 more minutes, and I'm going to go figure out what's happening with my grandma, my daughter's great-grandma. She's almost 90, so we're going to go see how she is. I checked on Roku TV today, and Roku add more channels. Yes, so we had a post earlier today and yesterday about Roku adding more channels to the Roku channel. Tons of great content there. Honestly, if you're not checking out all these free services, not just for the Roku channel, but all of them, you're really missing out. All right, again, if I have not answered your question, you got about 10 minutes. Re-ask the question. Anybody know where you can watch Bobby World? Oh, there we go. There's a good question. Did anybody enjoy that show? I never really got into it. Did anybody watch Bobby's World and know where it is right now? It's on a free streaming paid service. I know you could buy seasons of it, like on Amazon and iTunes, but not now. Will ABC become direct-to-consumer? Very likely, if ESPN is, they could. But already, you have an antenna. For most people, that would be the one I would recommend. I do know when ESPN is going direct to TV, many residents do revise how they, but do believe Disney will sign deals with commercial businesses to keep ESPN at hotels and bars. Now, one important thing here about ESPN going to direct to consumers, it has been reported that ESPN intends to continue to offer their channels on cable networks, much like how RSNs like Bally Sports and more have offered a direct to streaming option, but then also continue to offer it through cable networks. The problem is it makes their negotiating position, and this is why Disney doesn't want to rush to do it. It makes their ability to negotiate and get high price a little limited when, for example, Dish can say, well, we're not going to pay that high price for Bally Sports, when people can just go subscribe to Bally Sports directly. And same thing with ESPN. I don't believe ESPN is going to leave cable anytime soon. But Disney doesn't want to rush the direct-to-consumer option because it probably means they're going to get less money for it with it all. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Will Turner Classic Movies become a streaming service? They'll be wiser to put it into Max. I think there needs to be a Turner Classic Movie section in Max, and they already have some in there, but they could do a much bigger catalog on Max. All right. I miss cable news badly. Free streaming services are great. If you're not trying them out, you tried them out like years ago, the quality of them are way better than they used to be. Luke, do TVs with ATSC 3 have DRM? I've been told that all TVs with a built-in tuner do, but I haven't verified that myself. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. I think we've answered all the questions. I'm going to figure out what's happened to my grandma. Very sorry. Apparently, she's in the ER getting a CAT scan, a tetanus shot, and more because she fell and hurt herself. So she's in almost 90. So we're going to go figure out what's happening with that. I'm going to wrap this up for today. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you for understanding that it's the middle of summer. which means my schedule's been kind of erratic on these as my daughter's in play. We have things for my son. I got family things. It's definitely been very crazy. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care. Be safe. Have a fantastic day. I will talk to you all again next week. Sorry I'm cutting this a little short. It's definitely been very an interesting day. Take care, everybody.